I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane. Hope you have a great day, a great weekend. I'm looking forward to the heat wave. Uh, 30s now, I think, are close to it, and the promise of 40s and 50s in the days ahead. I think we deserve it. Glad to be here. I see my friend Diana and my friend Dee. How are you guys doing? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not hearing you. But
Doing great, Al.
yeah,
Doing great.
okay, great, great. Dee, how are you?
She's muted.
Okay, can't hear you, Dee, but we see you. Uh, well, listen, we're going to have a great conversation today. We're joined by Susima Wirakun, who is from Detroit, but lived in New York for several years. Here, calling Minneapolis home now, she's worked in the field of human development, especially early childhood, for over 9 years. She started as a preschool assistant teacher and worked her way up to program management for nonprofits. And today, I think you're here on behalf of the Jeremiah program. Susima, may I call you that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hi.
great. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Welcome. And how are you?
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well.
Well, it's good to have you here. You know, I love your name. Tell me about your name, both first and last names.
Yeah. So it's a Sri Lankan name. My parents are Sri Lankan immigrants. They came here when they were teenagers, and then, lived the American dream. And here I am now.
Okay, great, great, great. Well, wonderful. Let's give people Jeremiah Program 101. Let's talk about the premise, the promise of the Jeremiah program. Why does it exist? And what value is it bringing to community?
Yeah. So I'm the Family Services Director for the Minneapolis campus of Jeremiah program. We're located all across the nation: New York, Boston, St. Paul, Rochester, Austin, Texas. So we're located all over, and we're growing and expanding. So we're opening campuses in Baltimore and Las Vegas as well. But I want to specifically talk about what we do in Minneapolis. We are a college persistence program. So our goal is to help single mothers achieve their college education, whether it be an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. We provide a comprehensive set of resources, including housing support, early childhood education, career and education resources, so that single mothers can disrupt that intergenerational cycle of poverty and build and reach their goals for themselves and their children.
And your particular role is what?
The Family Services Director. So I help oversee the family coaches and make sure that moms are on track for college graduation, and they're getting the resources that they need by connecting with other local agencies in Minneapolis.
I'm looking at the website now for Jeremiah, and you can help me because it's really a nice website, but it says your president and CEO is Chastity Lord. Is she local, or is that for the national organization?
That's the national organization.
Okay, and so how's it organized then? So is there a Minneapolis team leader and a St. Paul team leader, or a Midwestern leader? How does it work?
Yeah, so each campus has an executive director. Mm-hmm. So ours is Patty Healy-Jansen. In St. Paul, it's Carla Benson. The executive directors oversee the leadership team. That includes the family services director, the child development director, our development director, and yeah.
Okay, great. And so the mission is to help young or help women get in and through college, right? And to provide them the kinds of supports and services they need to simplify and to allow them to navigate successfully into and through college. What are the challenges? What was observed that created the need that Jeremiah responded to?
Yeah, so single mothers often are in this cycle of generational poverty where, if you have a child, it's hard to also be a student. So Jeremiah program really stepped in to try and disrupt this cycle of generational poverty by making sure that moms are getting high quality education and that young children are getting high quality education as well. So that moms don't have to make these tremendous sacrifices to be able to achieve their goals and help their children become successful too. We're here as a resource and a support system to help build this strong network of single moms, as well as community agencies that work together to provide a comprehensive set of services so that moms can achieve their goals and their dreams, and aren't stuck in a cycle of poverty.
How many campuses are there around the country?
That is a good question.
Roughly, ballpark, or
7?
7? Okay, so 7 different cities. Is that?
Yeah, so
Understood.
Austin, Boston, Brooklyn, Fargo-Moorhead, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rochester, Southeast Minnesota.
Okay, and where did the program originate? Where did it come from?
It started in Minneapolis, actually. So we were the
Right.
oldest and longest site, and it was founded by a group of individuals who, wanted to make a difference in their community, and it's been a really attractive model. So other cities have adopted it, and now we're growing into Las Vegas and Baltimore.
So I remember a couple of friends of mine had key roles over at Jeremiah. I can't remember the names right now, but let's see. Who were the previous Minneapolis and St. Paul directors? There was a young woman who was just a ball of fire, dynamic, visionary, and committed leader to the community. And I see her face, but not her name at the moment. But
Yeah, I'm relatively new, so I
that
wasn't.
probably describes everybody.
Yeah, I believe the previous person was LaPlana.
Okay, that's not the name I'm thinking of. Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. Do you know anybody over there, Diana? Did you guys know anybody over there? Okay. I know go ahead, Diana.
I was going to say, I remember when Kathy Spann worked there for a minute, but that's been a while ago.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Okay. Well, there was a young woman there who was just really, really clear, focused, did legislative work and represented the organization and the issues. I just can't remember her name right now. It'll come to me before we close the program. And so, I'm just interested in how many people are being served. You have an idea of what the flow through is right now, and how big of an impact are you having against the challenge and the problem?
Yeah. So right now we're serving a little over 20 moms, but we're hoping to double our impact. So we're actively recruiting single mothers to participate in our program. And overall, the number expands as we get further out into the nation. We're also looking at transitioning our model from like a residential model to an off-campus model, so that not only moms who want to live on campus and live in our residential units can get support, but we can also help moms who want to live off campus, so that everyone can have this opportunity no matter where they live. So you can be an on-campus mom or an off-campus mom, which will also allow us to increase the number of moms that we're supporting.
So when you say campus, the picture that comes to mind is, I'm thinking like of the university or of or Minneapolis Community College, of an institution, but you're not doing the same thing like that. You're not an actual school. When you say campus, you mean a facility where people can live, and maybe some offices that provide support services, or am I getting it wrong?
No, you've got it, and thank you for clarifying. So the Minneapolis Jeremiah program, as well as the St. Paul Jeremiah program, we have residential buildings. So we have 2-bedroom apartments, 3-bedroom apartments, and 4-bedroom apartments. So you can come live in a nice homey environment. And then on the first floor, we have offices where moms can receive mental health supports. They can meet with their family coach. They can drop their child off to the early childhood education center we have on campus. Again, to help support with providing a comprehensive set of services so that moms can focus on getting their degree and building their careers and achieving their goals for their lives.
So the 20 moms that are in the program right now might be enrolled in several different institutions, right? They're not in one school, not just at St. Thomas or just at the university. What are some of the learning opportunities that work with you all? And is there a special requirement or special relationships that you have with institutions to support the particular specific mission and vision?
Yeah, so we partner with several different universities and colleges. More closely, we are located right across the street from the Minneapolis Community Technical College, MCTC.
Mhm.
So a lot of our moms go there and then transition into a four-year degree program. We have a lot of moms going to Augsburg University, Metro State. So there's opportunities to partner with lots of different universities and educational institutions. And we work really closely with academic advisors and the moms participating in Jeremiah program, again, to make sure that they're meeting those benchmarks to getting good grades and achieving their goals.
Okay. Any questions, Diana or Dee?
Susima, didn't you have a presentation that you wanted to share?
I did.
Oh,
I wasn't quite sure if I could do that, but can
Sure
I
you
go ahead
can.
and share it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can share your screen and
it has
make
a
it
lot of information on it. I found very informative.
awesome.
Okay. So let's see if I can get this in presentation mode. All right, there we go. So we really center on this idea that moms are already great, amazing mothers. So we just want to add on. We just want to partner and be an extra support system. So Jeremiah program partners with single mothers and their children to disrupt poverty 2 generations at a time. We believe that no parent should ever have to choose between supporting her child's education or pursuing her own. We facilitate an experience that helps moms achieve a college degree while at the same time preparing their children for educational success. So our model is a coaching first model, which assumes that moms are the experts of their lives and leaders in their communities. It's laser focused on single parent moms and their children because being a great mom shouldn't be a barrier to a great college education. Delivered through a racial and social justice lens, our investment in families spans 3 key areas: college enrollment, persistence, and graduation support, career networking and wealth building resources and referrals, access to high quality educational opportunities for children of JP moms. The supportive community, the JP Sisterhood, is the bedrock of all of this, expanding the leadership tent and equipping moms to build the social and relational capital to be agents of change and get seats at all tables they deserve to be at. We believe mothers are experts on their own lives and the best architects of their own solutions. So our opportunity right now is we're currently recruiting moms. JP moms are moms who live close to our campus location. And so you can see at the bottom of the screen, we're located in Austin, Boston, Brooklyn, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rochester Southeast. Moms are already committed to going back to college. The JP moms have at least 1 child under the age of 10. JP moms are resilient, determined, and serious about pursuing their goals. The admissions process is quick and it's online, and you'll receive formal acceptance or deferral notification once your application is reviewed.
I like that you say acceptance or deferral,
Yeah,
as opposed to acceptance or denial.
exactly,
What's
right?
what's the thinking behind that?
We don't really, we want to support all of the moms who are wanting to pursue a college education. We would never say no to a mom. We would just say, right now, we don't necessarily have space or capacity. And sometimes that comes from the mom too. But
Sure.
it's just, if right now is not, if this semester doesn't work, let's look at next semester.
Okay. I like that. It's great.
Yeah. So what you can expect of the JP experience, when a mom applies and gets acceptance, she starts her empowerment and leadership class. So she learns skills to become a leader in her community. And then once empowerment and leadership is done, moms get to radically opt into Jeremiah program and set goals for themselves and their family. And then you're working with a family coach to plan your college career and your enrollment into college. And then you get thoroughly supported through college and parenting as we walk this journey together. And then you transition to alumni life. So once you graduate college, you graduate the Jeremiah program, and we help connect you to that sisterhood of single moms who have achieved their college education.
What does support mean in terms of financial support?
Yeah, so we work with local agencies to get scholarships or micro grants to help fund college education. We also open 529 accounts for children, and we make multiple installments of investing in saving for a child's college education, as well as investing in supporting a mom's continuing education.
So that's what you mean when you say you work two generations at a time. You're working directly with the mom and her initiative to expand her opportunity by going to college or university, but you are intentional in setting an arc for a child that's under 10 years old by
Absolutely.
investing in that child's 529 program, I think, and that creates a fund to pay for college when they're college age. That's a marvelous idea. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and even we provide, so we have summer programming opportunities where we provide funds for children of all ages, 0 to 18, to participate in summer camps or extracurriculars to continue the learning that happens when school goes out for the summer.
Okay.
So when moms become a part of Jeremiah program, they're committing to a series of specific things, which include completing the empowerment and leadership class, which is that 12-week class that meets once a week. Moms are committing to set goals and participating in biweekly coaching. So the family coach is right there alongside you, making sure that you're getting all the support and resources you need to achieve your goals. Moms are committing to enroll in college by the next 2 semesters. Moms commit to engage with Jeremiah program and provide educational supports for their children. JP moms commit to an active partnership according to Jeremiah program guidelines. And JP moms actively explore career, networking, and other volunteer opportunities to help spur their goals. So this is kind of our ask. Go ahead, and if you're interested in Jeremiah program, or if you know of anyone who may be a good fit for Jeremiah program, check out our website and apply online, and then you'll be invited to participate in a 12-week empowerment and leadership course.
What cost do the moms have to shoulder to get into the program?
There is no cost. It's a free program. We are so thankful to have amazing donors and grant funding to be able to provide this service at no cost to moms.
So if I understand that correctly, you're actually providing a residence for a mom and her child or children, as long as one of them is under 10. And do they have to come up with a job or some way to cover the cost of the residence, or is that part of what you're providing?
Yeah, it depends on the specific mom's situation, but rent will be no more than 30% of their income.
So typically, a person will have to have a job to be in a situation to cover rent, right? And
sometimes,
you're organized to both, handle the parenting, handle the household requirements, however they were doing it before. Because some may be getting state assistance for living, and then they have to also be prepared to figure out how to, if there's additional cost, handle that too, right? I mean, is there a work study, for example, or do you provide employment for people?
Yeah, so we help families get connected to financial aid. So sometimes moms use a portion of their financial aid to help pay for rent. And again, it's safe, affordable housing. There is a housing crisis in the cities right now. So we're proud to be able to provide affordable housing to moms. So there are many ways that moms work towards paying their rent. But it could be through financial aid. It could be through scholarships. Some scholarships cover the cost of their rent. Some moms don't have to pay anything, depending on the rent calculation based with the Minneapolis Public Housing Authority and the Jeremiah program. sometimes the cost comes to nothing. And so moms don't have to pay any rent, depending on their situation. It varies. And that's why we have family coaches working on each individual case with the mom so that we can make sure that we're doing what's best depending on the mom's situations. Some moms like to work and want to work through school and
Sure.
like to have that consistency and that stability.
Then my next question was about capacity. You said you have 20 moms enrolled presently. What's your capacity? How many can you handle at one time? How many have been through the Minneapolis program?
Yeah, so our max capacity is 40 moms on campus, like in our residential facility. However, in the off-campus model, we can support more than that too. So we're looking to increase the more off-campus moms, but we can double our impact with our residential moms too.
Great. So what would you say has been the total number served since the program began? Maybe you mentioned that earlier, I'm not sure, but how many have come out of the Twin Cities program in particular?
That's a good question. I know that the program has been around for over a decade, I want to say. So in that, I think they've served over 100 families. Please don't quote me on that, though.
Sure.
These are just my estimations, but they've served a lot of moms. And gotten moms. There's an extensive alumni network. We're having our alumni summit this weekend, actually. So, yeah.
Cool.
I got a question. Is there a limit to the amount of kids that you can have?
No, not that I'm aware of. There's no limit to the number of kids you can have.
And is childcare provided somewhat while the moms are working?
Yeah, we work with moms to make sure that they have access to high quality childcare. That's one of the pillars of our program. So we have an on-site child development center that moms can. It's a childcare that moms can drop off their kids. But there are some moms that choose to have childcare elsewhere. So they may choose another child development center or early childhood education program off campus, which is totally fine, and we support that.
Al, I remember the Jeremiah program from years past being a housing program. So it's kind of hard for, I think, anybody to say how many families have been served because originally it was housing and it's, now more emphasis on education. But I wanted to ask, is there a income guideline for applying for the program?
Yes. So we do, we work with low income mothers. So 30% area median income at or below that number is our target population.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
And so, Susima, what's the time frame? You're recruiting now. Maybe recruiting is the wrong word, but you're available now, right? And this is a time for people to inquire about and perhaps check out or join the program. What is the window? How does it work? What's the cycle? Is it semesters? Is it quarters? What's the timing on getting involved or getting more awareness about it?
Yeah, I would say it's probably easier to think about it in semesters. So this semester has already started. So we're currently in the beginning phases of our empowerment and leadership course. So this cohort of empowerment and leadership moms will be finishing up their 12-week course around May. So again, that's like the end of the semester. And then we'll have a new cohort start over the summer for empowerment and leadership. So if a single mom applies, she'll get accepted, and then she'll be invited to a summer recruitment phase of empowerment and leadership.
Okay. Any other questions, Diana or Dee? Because if not, I have some Susima questions. This is the fun part for me, is talking to you, Susima. I love what you're doing and love the energy and the clarity that you bring to it. I have fun as a reporter just asking people to tell their personal stories. And to the degree that you're willing to, I'm inviting you to do that. And what's the reason? I think that it's wonderful to get a sense of what inspires people, what motivates people. I think that all of us are doing great work in the world, and all of us desire to do that. And certain people have the good fortune of, having great parents, great opportunity, and alignment of their spiritual and their social worlds, and are willing to share that. And so that's the spirit of the questions I'm going to bring to you now. And again, if I defer to you. You can say as much or as little as you want to, or nothing at all. Okay, so I'm a reporter, so I'm nosy by nature. Right. So I have a license to be nosy. That's what it's saying. Okay. So, but you can always tell me no. That's the other part of this thing. And so, talk about your motivation. What is it that has guided you into this work? How did you come to this work in particular? And I looked at your mini bio. You've been kind of in this field developing, but what has drawn you to this work? What motivates you? Why do you get up every day excited to do good for women and community?
Yeah, it really just started with my mother. She was a preschool teacher my entire life, and I've been inspired by her and her work, working with young children and families. So I went to school to become a preschool teacher, got my degree in child development, and then started as a preschool teacher and really just worked my way up. I get out of bed every morning wanting to build better systems and better foundations for society. If we invest in children, mothers, and families, we're setting ourselves up for a stronger future, a brighter and better future. So that's what excites me. That's what makes me love the work that I do, seeing the impact and again, supporting people and community and a better life.
Talk more about your parents, how they have helped shape Tsushima.
Yeah. So I mentioned my parents are Sri Lankan immigrants. My dad is a custodian for a local school district near Detroit. My mother is a preschool teacher. So they've instilled, the ethic of hard work. You work hard and you can achieve your dreams. And they came from a country where they were very poor, and they made it to America. They immigrated, and work day in and day out to give their kids a better life. And so, yeah, I'm a product of that. And I want to push that forward, right? I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to have a better life.
Have you been to Sri Lanka yourself?
Yes, I have.
Tell me about that. When did you go first, and what do you know about Sri Lanka? And how does being in Sri Lanka community and culture give you sustenance and energy, to be your best Susima?
Yeah. So the community is pretty close knit, and it's supportive. So I first went to Sri Lanka when I was an infant. I want to say I was like 1 year old. I don't have memories of it, but I've seen photos of myself like as a baby, with my grandparents. And yeah, it's a beautiful, amazing tropical island. We've gone sporadically since then. The last time I was there, I want to say it was like 2015. And yeah, my husband and I are hoping to go visit family once the pandemic kind of dies down and it gets safer. But yeah, it's a great support network, and I think it helps give an analysis and a perspective of interacting with different cultures and communities, and trying to find common ground between people so that we can work together for the greater good.
Are your parents able to, and have you been able to maintain any Sri Lankan traditions, cultural celebrations, foods, dress, events? How do you do that, and also do what you have to do every day?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind, I recently got married. So we had a Sri Lankan.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we had a Sri Lankan wedding, which was, I've been to a handful of Sri Lankan weddings, but it was a totally different experience to plan and prepare for. Sri Lanka is mainly a Buddhist country. A significant portion of the population is Buddhist. And so practicing all of these new Buddhist traditions in the context of a wedding was different. My husband, he's white. So he was also learning all of these new practices and traditions. And it was great, like having my aunts and uncles come and participate and help facilitate the wedding.
Was the wedding here or there?
It was actually in New York.
In New York, okay.
Yeah. So my husband's family is from New York. So we got to throw the wedding in his parents' backyard, and it was incredible.
Wow. Well, cool. I my family, Susima, is from my dad's side, Jamaica, Cuba. And so I can tell you my first trip to Jamaica was maybe 19 years old. But I remember the very first time I met my grandfather. My grandfather was like a village headman in the village. They live in up in the Blue Mountains, a town called Dresaki, and the road was Mile Gully, right? And I hitchhiked from Kingston up to the country, and I took a country bus. Then when I got to the nearest town, I hitchhiked from there to where the house was. But I asked people if they knew my father, and they did. My grandfather, they did. They called him, his name was Roland McFarlane, but they called him Mas Roland because he was like the guy. He was the man, right?
Yeah.
And so when they drove us up to the house, my first time, I remember opening the door of the car, and my eyes looked at the gravel road first and then the lawn, and it's kind of like sweeping up to the porch. And when I saw my grandfather sitting on the porch looking at me, when our eyes connected the very first time, it was like a bolt of electricity. I had never felt anything like that before. And it was it felt like I was seeing myself for the first time. I saw me, I saw my dad, I saw my brothers. I think I must have seen people that are ancestors that I didn't know. And I think I must have seen people that weren't yet born, right? And so there's this epiphany-like moment, or just fantastic, both spiritual and physical thing happening that was a cause of both joy and excitement and revelation. And so for me, this notion of family and culture is so significant, so important, and I presume that everybody else has had some variation of that feeling at some time or another in their life. And if they haven't, I wish that they would have it, because it lifted me. And so that's also the spirit from which I ask you questions, because I know that families are the source of joy, right? And families hold the world together. And sounds like you've got a great, great family.
Yeah, they're the source of my resilience. The past few years have been challenging, but having family stick with you and stick by you has been incredible and amazing.
What have been the challenges for you? I'm sure it's COVID, right? That's the main thing. That's getting everybody. But is that what you meant when you said that?
Yes. So shifting, moving. During the pandemic, kind of like that isolation that a lot of people have felt during the pandemic has been hard. But, like my cousins, my aunts and uncles, my parents, my siblings, everyone has been so supportive and so kind.
Mm-hmm. How many sisters and brothers do you have?
I have 2 brothers.
You younger, older, in between, or?
I'm the middle child.
Okay. Well, cool.
And actually, it's my little brother's birthday today. He's turning 20. He's 20 years old today.
Well, happy birthday. What's his name?
His name is Matthew.
Happy birthday to Matthew. Let him know that we celebrate with him today, okay?
Yes, we'll do.
So I have my wedding anniversary is, first of all, both, who's on, she might be on the call now, Brenda's birthday, I think, was Thursday, the 10th, and she writes the stories from these interviews. But Brenda, I didn't tell you, if you're there, that Thursday was also my wedding anniversary. So it was my 49th wedding anniversary for me and Bobby. So it's a big Oh, hey, Brenda, there you are. Yeah, I meant to tell you that when you said this was your birthday, I said, well, congratulations to you. And this is a great day because it's also Bobby and my uh, wedding anniversary. So it's, cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Brenda, this is Susima. And Brenda writes the stories. So she's usually in the back room or sometimes in the show as well. But Brenda and I were in kindergarten together. And so we were both 74 and 75, and we met each other when we were 5 years old. And so that's unbelievable. Yeah. So it's really cool. And so, so a lot of things challenged you looking back now over the past 2 years. Have you learned something about yourself, about society, about our country, about the world that goes into how you face tomorrow? That's number one, and that's informed by the COVID experience, both locally and globally. And then, I'm taking you into deep water now, Susima. What's on my mind now is the challenge we face with Russia and Ukraine. And I'm concerned about that, but I'm equally concerned about the other conflicts that have been existing for a long time, that still exist all over the planet, that we sometimes act like don't exist or we ignore. And I say that not to minimize the severity and the pain to humans that is occurring now between Russia and Ukraine. But I want to also use it so that I don't forget that the failings of our humans there are failings that occur a lot of places and are having the same negative, deleterious impact in other communities. And we shouldn't forget anywhere we are failing, but we should be mindful and thoughtful, prayerful, however you approach it, and always in search of solutions everywhere. But what do you think, Susima?
Yeah, that's a big question. But I guess off the top of my head, I've been inspired by the Minneapolis teachers strike. When you talk about the war in Ukraine, it makes me think about, how much money the United States spends on military and war and propaganda. And if we diverted even just a portion of those funds towards public education, towards early childhood education, we could radically change the lives of so many people in the United States. So when you ask me about what have I learned throughout the course of the pandemic and what have been some of the challenges, early childhood education has been hit hard in terms of staffing and retention. So many amazing teachers have left the field because they're burnt out, they're tired, they're not being compensated for all of the work that they do. They're literally shaping the lives and the foundations of, children's continued success in education. So what we need to do is invest more in education to build stronger foundations of society. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I have.
Okay. Diana D, Brenda, any comments or thoughts, or how are you guys? How are we all feeling about the past couple of years and the pandemic, how it's impacting our work? For me, I've gone into a kind of sequestered world, so I'm operating from home now, my dining room table actually. And I go to the office maybe once every couple of days to pick the mail up. I don't do any in-person meetings. I've been in maybe one in the past 2 years, and I was skeptical in doing that. I'm not planning on doing any in-person meetings for a few months still, and I think that I'm 74 and have some compromises in health that I have to be mindful of, right? So for that reason, I'm being extra careful, and my wife the same. We're being extra careful. So it's really changed how I do things, and but I'm kind of okay with it because I like this format. I still get to see people and meet people and talk to them, just not not handshake, and not handshaking is okay with me too right now, so, but, it tells me that we can do a lot of things differently, and that there are more ways to do things than we've been accustomed to. And that, there may be a good reason to warehouse people in offices downtown or even in classrooms, but there may be other ways to do it. And it doesn't mean that doing that is wrong. It means that can we develop the capacity to figure out different approaches to achieve development, production, productivity, development, awareness, education for human beings. So let me throw one more curveball at you, Susima. I'm having fun. Hope you are too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I'm reading a lot right now about African antiquity, and the questions of the philosophers and educators I'm reading are questions that suggest we ought to be more critical of learning systems, learning strategies. That on the one hand, we should recognize the purpose of education, and one of the purposes that the state has for education is indoctrination, or creating, that's a hard way to say it. A nice way to say it is what's the right word? Not indoctrination, but
Standardization.
that's a good way. Standardization, right? Uh, uh, confirming, confirmation, etc. Because you have to have a certain amount of conformity, or at least awareness, to cooperate and to move a large group of people on the planet. So the question that the educators I'm reading pose is: are there other ways of looking at the world that more appropriately respect Black lives? Is there an inherent character in the Western or European model of education that is hierarchical in nature, and therefore places the patriarchy at the pedestal that everything else has to be measured against? Is there a system that is either matriarchal, that is competitive, or that is, or where the question of patriarchy, matriarchy is not an either or question? Is there a system that offers balance, that values both the maternal and the paternal instinct or gifts, but neither to the exclusion or desecration or marginalization of the other? So the criticism is that the path of Greco-European education, American education, has been one along the lines that elevated this notion of patriarchy and hierarchy. Is there an alternative, and had there been one in ancient times, where the modus operandi was cooperation, not competition, where it was the philosophy that everybody can learn and should learn, and that society must be organized in a way that assures that each individual's personal development is the highest priority, that no one should be left out, that everyone should be considered. And in doing so, we don't operate against nature or against other people, but in a way that's consistent with the divine order, the order of the universe, because it understands and flows within that in a way that's harmonic and rhythmic. That's a mouthful. What do you think, Susima?
Yeah, lots of thought-provoking.
As an educator, what do you think?
Yeah, I think in the simplest terms, when you say all that, what comes to mind is Paulo Freire's, he's a Brazilian author, scholar. He wrote The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which talks about participatory action research, which has not a new, but like a different framework for developing and producing knowledge, where students, teachers, community members participate in knowledge creation together. So I highly recommend the book. It's a great read, and I think it touches on a lot of these points that you just touched on.
Say it again. What's the name of it again and the author?
The Pedagogy of the Oppressed
Okay, great.
by Paulo Freire.
Okay. I'll look it up and I'll read it. Yeah, I'm on a reading binge right now.
Great.
Okay. Brenda, thoughts? Diana, Dee?
I know, Al, you asked the question about, how are we feeling since this pandemic? And, I kind of feel like I had to kind of adjust to doing certain things different. And some of it was good, some of it's bad, but I do kind of miss the interaction with people, because especially I like to be around people, but there's this new Delta cron out there. So you really got to be cautious right now because they don't even know what that is. So I can't see myself, kind of interacting face to face neither. not too soon anyway, but it makes you really think about some things and how you had to rearrange your work schedule and your life schedule. I mean, it's stressful for some people. This pandemic is very stressful. So yeah, I kind of feel that way. That
Absolutely. I mean, technology is great. We can have all of these meetings, over Zoom, but geez, Al, I miss walking into your office and shaking your hand, and I miss, just face-to-face conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
This is great, but I miss that live interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really hard. That's the hardest part of this whole thing, is not having that bonding kind of face-to-face meeting. I miss that a lot.
Got it. Yeah. So, Seema, what do your names mean?
That is a good question. So Susima in Sanskrit, I've been told means happy girl. I've tried to verify that though, and have had a little bit of trouble. That's what I've been told. And then Weerakun, I think there's like the Weera. When you look at Sri Lankan names, Weera is a common prefix, and then Kun is a common suffix.
Mm-hmm.
And when you combine the different prefixes and suffixes, they have different meanings. So I think it's somehow it means like Kingsguard. But again, don't quote me on this. This is kind of the limited research I've done into trying to understand where my name comes from.
Okay, great. Well, names are cool. I just tried to write my name in hieroglyphics a couple of hours ago. So I'm taking a class in hieroglyphics that's being offered at a project called Narrative. I'm wearing the Narrative t-shirt, and it's an online classroom by a guy named Dr. what's his name? Mario Beatty is a teacher at, I think he's at Howard University now, but he's offering an online course in Egyptology and in hieroglyphics. So they're into lesson 3, and I'm learning that. So I love the idea of examining, where ideas, where language, where words, where ideation and phonics and how we communicate, where that all comes from, and it's fascinating.
And it has such a strong connection to identity. So when I got married, I wanted to keep my maiden name, which is Weerakun. I didn't want to lose that part of like myself and my identity. So after I got married, I was like, I'm just keeping my name because it's an important part of who I am. Absolutely,
and then same thing with me and Bobby. Bobby is Bobby Ford. And I'm Al McFarlane. We're partners, Bobby Ford and Al McFarlane. That's how we present ourselves. And I think that's the right thing to do because it's important. And we both, bring so much individually to our relationship and to the world. And we have to acknowledge all of it. It's all of value. Well, listen, I think this has been a great conversation. Do you have any questions for Insight Newspaper, for the community that we, Diana and Dee and I, go back a long ways here in North Minneapolis and in the community? Brenda doesn't know Minneapolis, but she's learning about it because she's had a crash course in the past year, writing stories every week. But do you have any questions about our experiences or our observations, or any feedback we can provide you in your work?
Yeah. So my husband and I have moved to Minneapolis. We bought our first home in North Minneapolis, and we're so excited. Do you all have any advice or any tips that is like first time or relatively new community members? It'll be a year. It is a year now, actually.
Okay. Well, I'm over on Thomas Avenue, just off of Plymouth. And I moved into this house. Bobby and I moved here January 3rd, 1973. I don't know if you were born yet. No, right? we moved. It's funny. And so, like when I'm in the store at somewhere where they ask people in the driver's license, ask you for your birthday, I hear people saying, "Oh, 2001." I said, "What?" Brenda and I were going to say 1947.
1947.
Yeah, and so and the further we go, the farther it seems, right, Brenda?
Especially that 75th birthday. I had to go get some whipped cream Smirnoff and have a drink. I'm sorry, Diana and Dee, but that's my favorite.
Hey, I'm not that far behind you guys, so I feel you. But Al, I do want to remind people about this Friday.
Okay.
We have the coalition meeting this Friday. And it's a topic that I think most people find interesting because they just legalized this cannabis. And so we're going to talk about this cannabis and the mental health issues, what it's doing to our mental health. So
what was legalized?
The cannabis, the legalizing cannabis the bill was passed to legalize that medical marijuana cannabis.
Okay.
And so now people can actually go and buy this,
Really? Okay.
So it's going to be good coming from the Smart Approach marijuana people that are going to come and present to us. So if you're interested, just send me an email at dhawkins@hncmpls.org. It's going to be a great dialogue, I believe.
Okay. And then, Tosima, I was going to say that. So where I am now, we've been here since January of '73. And we've watched this community change and grow, through being challenging and then less challenging and then challenging again. But I think at the end of the day, it's a good neighborhood, a lot of good people, a lot of challenges, but we're glad to be part of North Minneapolis, and the housing stock is beautiful. The house I'm in was built in 1904.
Wow.
It's an old house, and it's like a cathedral. It's just really nice. And a lot of woodwork. I can't see it, but wood beams, and pillars inside the house. And I like my house. I like the house I'm in, and I like being where I'm at, my neighborhood and everything. So, so it's cool. So I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
I would say get to know your neighbors, Tosima, and I just want to say that I'm pleased to say that she is a Hawthorne board member as well. So she's really about the community. So she came to us. So I'd say get to know your neighbors though.
Yes, we adore our neighbors. They're great. One set of our neighbors runs the fencing booth at the fair. The Renaissance Fair. So we'll have to go check it out when it's open. Yeah. But it's a great community. We love it. And I've been so honored to work on the board with Diana and Dee. It's been a lot of great work, and they're doing amazing things for our community. So I'm happy to volunteer my time there.
And we're glad to have you.
Thanks, Dee.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
listen.
wanted to ask a quick
Go ahead.
question. What is the percentage of Black white mothers in the Jeremiah program in Minneapolis, St. Paul?
That's a great question. 85% of our moms in Minneapolis and St. Paul participating in Jeremiah program identify as BIPOC.
Okay.
So Black, Indigenous, people of color.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Any other questions? Listen, this has been a great hour. Great to meet you, Susima, and continued success with the program with Jeremiah. And Dee and Diana, Brenda, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. I'm Al McFarlane. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.